Welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate. This is our Star Wars Unlimited podcast. This is episode 49, folks. 49. Tonight, we got some exciting news about Galactic Championship previews. They're awesome. I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss them. We're going to talk a little bit about those. I don't know if either of the guys are going or if it's just me going to that, but we're going to talk a little bit about the prize support for it, some of the cool cars that are coming out of it, and some of the support that they're offering. We also decided to do a little bit of a conversation on if Jango is kind of like the new Sabine, right? Is this the deck that like everybody has to, be able to beat to be able to take a competitive deck to a tournament? And we're going to kind of talk through a little bit about that tonight. And if there's any sort of decks we feel might be able to counter Jango. But the funnest thing, and I know that's not a word, but I don't care, is tonight we're going to do some new list testing. We have some new lists that we've been playing around with that are not just some meta staples. There's a couple in there that are a little bit of possible meta in the future, but for the most part, it's just like, this is cool lists that we've been playing around with, and one of them I'm very, very excited to talk about. With that being said, let's bring in my co-host for tonight. Please welcome to the show, Alex, the Benchwarmer.
Hey, just so you know, by the way, funner is a word. It's just a superlative adjective of fun. Yeah.
Okay,
which is
cool.
Weird to know what to do it.
All right, well, I did it, and then I corrected myself, but,
No, I just got back from playing X-Wing out of retirement for a little Worlds prep, but ready for SWU. I have 14 decks built. So I've just been kind of rotating those out. Yeah, in real life too. The 14 decks, not just like scoped out in my head, actually like put into cardboard to play people, and it's really fun.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's more. I have 2 built right now with a possible third that we built, and we built a trench one and we kind of took it apart when it didn't do super well. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna take it apart for now until we could test it more, and then we'll rebuild trench once we find something I like.
To minimize the number of cards like I need to share between decks, but man, that Millennium Falcon makes it really hard. The 3-cost yellow one is just like, oh cool, it's basically in every single yellow hero deck there is.
Yeah, especially if you only own 3 of them, right? Like I think I own 4. I own 4 because I have a hyperspace foil one that I won. And like outside of that though, but I don't like to put that in my deck because it's a hyperspace foil. But sometimes I feel like you have to. Like I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I only own 3. I only own 3 Lukes, and that's like, well, that's a little bit rough. And I now own only 5 triple dark raids, so I can't do 3 of them in 2 decks because I traded one away for like 5 prestige cards. So
yeah, which makes sense. I mean, those stupid triple dark raids went up to like $15. I
like 20. It's wild.
Oh, they're 20 now? Well, that's the guy I saw a guy wanted to make a Tarkin yellow space deck, and he wanted those cards and like those boxes that we won when we were at that PQ.
Yeah.
I ended up with 2 extra triple dark raids in those boxes. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll happily trade you. So I also only own 5 as well. Because I had 6 of them, got 2 more, and I just like, well, I'll just sell them. It was a newer guy, I wanted to get him into the game.
I really wanted that Prestige Annihilator, Had to do it.
I don't have that one yet, but I do. No, I have an Annihilator. I don't have an Executor. That's what I don't have. So, also joining us is JJ, still a Giants fan, despite the fact that they're never going to be good. How are you tonight, sir? I should probably unmute you. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing all right. We made some off-season moves, man. I mean, we got James Winston coming in as quarterback. He's going to do really good. We reinforced our wide receivers. We got our defense in a pretty good spot. So I think we're going to still go, 3-12, but that's besides the point.
Well, at least you don't have Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my God! Thank God we don't have Aaron Rodgers. Oh my gosh, no! Please.
Who did he get traded to?
Did he sign with anyone yet?
No, as far as I know, he hasn't been signed. Thank God.
Well, yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. That's not whatever. They
say maybe the Steelers,
which would be hilarious. Yes. Like if the Steelers get him, I feel so bad for the Steelers. They're like all right, well, it sucks to be you guys.
We're not really Aaron Rodgers fans in Detroit. You're going to tell.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully you all had a fun weekend. I actually played in a sealed tournament on Saturday. I'm a little sad. We went 3 rounds and there was 2 3-0s left, and I didn't get to face off against the other one. But I ran wedge red. I had quite a bit of I had almost no removal, but I had I had 2 bigs. I had Poe's thing. I had a Luke. I got a Poe in there. I had 3 or 4 of the I had a red 3 and whatever the yellow or the blue. I'm sorry, not the blue. The green one is, yeah. I had that one, and so I just had all these weird really good. I pulled 0 legendaries, but I had all these really good rares. So I had a pack that had 3 rares in it, and I was like, all right, this is good for me. And I ended up with so I ended up going 3-0. I don't think any of the games I played went to more than 20 damage on my base, and that was a replay game. And it's just I was gonna run Luke because I pulled a Luke and a wedge, and then I had my wedge showcase, so then I was like, well, I'm just gonna run my wedge, and I don't know, Eric was I was talking with Eric, and he's like, man, you got if you got around 8 5 to 8 pilots and stuff like that interact with it, just run that. I had 2 BB1s, so you know how fun it is to be able to put a BB1 down for 3, and then you're actually paying 2 because of wedge, and you can just put it on you have a black 1, or you have a whatchamacallit, the I had that stupid resistance speeder, that dilapidated speeder, or whatever.
Dilapidated land speeder. Hell yeah.
That thing's great. That thing is just so good. I love it. I actually I don't know how I missed that in all my previous games, when we played on pre-release weekend, because you just swung in with it, threw BB-8 on there, paid 3, readied the damn thing, and swung in a second time. I was like, sorry guys, and I didn't even get to do the bigs. I had it bigs in hand, but I was like, I can play BB-8 cheaper, and it readies it, and I don't have to deal with it next turn, because the bigs interaction is just silly. It's just silly. It's a hard combo, I think, to pull off. But anyway, so I played pre-release, and I ended up going. I came in second to the other 3-0 guys. So I don't know how tiebreakers work. Somehow I was the odd man out, but it didn't really matter. I got the same prize support. We got a pack per win for it. So that was fun. I officially do not need any more cards, I don't think, except for showcases. So at this point, I definitely need to stop doing that. Though they're talking about doing Carbonite sealed event, and I was just I don't. Guys, this is just nuts. I don't. That's just so much money.
May I interest you in a win a Carbonite box in Ann Arbor in April?
Probably if I'm not out of town for that weekend, yes, actually I will probably go to that, because that was only $25. 12. Yep.
Yeah.
Was that right at the end of my kid's spring break? But yes, that's my brother actually lives in Ann Arbor area. He lives in Saline, so for me it's great. I could just literally go to his place the night before, and I'd be right in town for it. So yes, that's on my radar, because I think that would be kind of fun to play in. And do I dare say, are we both going to bring Pelp now? Do we bring the Pelp over to that side of the state?
I mean, the Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
Well, hey, the guy that won both Chicago, Eric, the guy that won both Chicago and Lansing PQ, his main store is that store in Ann Arbor.
Oh.
So.
Oh.
It's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle there, sir. I don't think you just waltz right in there, and Staniszewski and all them are planning on going. You got a lot of really good players going.
But yes, I do. I that was on my radar. And because it was in Lansing, it was something I could do and see if my brother wants to go play in it as well. And him and I could just go and have fun, and I could spend a day out there seeing him too. So, but yes, that is on my radar, and definitely something that I'm looking forward to. So, but all right, well, why don't we kick off the episode? Let's talk a little bit about Galactic price support. All right, so if you hadn't seen, they officially released not all of it, but some of the Galactic prize support for the what I'm going to just call Worlds, because it's just so much easier to call it Worlds. I don't know why they couldn't just have reused the stupid terminology, but essentially the first big inaugural championship games are going to be coming to Las Vegas. in them, as you can see, they are going to now do participation and placement prizes in these little packs. So you're going to get these specialized packs. I will say that they talked about giving essentially packs like the first day that you're just never going to get. Like, they're not going to be second day packs. So like, they're going to have some packs for each of the different days. And there'll be some that you're just not going to be able to get. So if you don't show up the first day, you're not getting it. They talk about basically one of the things, if you manage to earn 12 match points during the day one Swiss, you'll win yourself an additional 2 promo packs. And then if you earn at least 15 match points, so that's basically 5 wins, you'll receive another 2 packs and a specialized token pack, which we don't even know what that is. So like just these packs alone, my guesses are going to probably be worth just the entry cost to go there for that.
Yeah,
that
insane
day.
Amount of money.
Yeah. They then also have day 2 packs, as you can see. And these day 2 packs are kind of the same thing. You're going to get so many of them. They're going to come out with a new deck box that they can't announce yet. And a new card sleeves that are going to be artwork from set 5 that we'll learn about here in the next month. But they had to, I don't know why they didn't just spoil it to let us see them, because like now, like, just do that, because they're not spoiler season. They aren't going to do that. So you're going to earn a soft crate deck box and a pack of card sleeves. And then you'll also earn prize support the same as day 1, as well as you'll win the extra black promo packs, which are going to have even more of that. And if you earn 18 match points, you're going to make it into day 3 of the tournament. So I'm assuming that means they're going to reset your points each day. That's my assumption, correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't go into day 2, right? If you didn't get 18 match points, but yeah, I'm sure they'll do it. Actually, maybe not, because they said that if you get like a buy or whatever for day 2, that it just counts as like having 18 match points. So you'll still get the promo pack. So maybe not. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. These are so cool. I don't even know what I have to do to get over here, but I wish I could go. It's so cool.
Yeah. Then the championships are gonna get another soft crate, right? And then they're going to get these championship mats with Vader on them, which look amazing. I will 100% love to have those mats. And then they're going to also give away, which is funny because they're rotating this card out, but you could get your Vader champion cards, which will be worth like $400, $500 a piece, because nobody's going to have these cards. But you're going to be able to get your championship and placement Vader cards for it as well. So that's kind of the big thing is day 3 is you're going to get that those promos for the Vaders, which is just crazy. They're going to be giving away top 32 get the game mat. So basically you have to be in the top 32 of like 600 people for 3 days. So
right.
Yeah, not an easy feat.
No. They're also going to be doing some sort of a binder, I guess. I don't know what this is. I don't remember them talking about this. But I'm guessing it's some sort of a championship binder.
I'm assuming it's like the really nice ones I have that are like $70.
Yeah, that would be my guess too. But they'll probably have like worlds embroidered on it or something like that.
Yeah, maybe it'll actually come with the sleeves too, because those go.
I know. Then you can also earn stuff on the prize wall. So they're going to be all sorts of different stuff. So they have a new Snoke, which I love that artwork.
So cool.
Like, I actually 100% love that. That's amazing. They have the invisible hand with a different orientated view. Han Solo, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, which I like the Ahsoka, the green, like really contrasts well with saying it's green, but by the way, this is a yellow card. So
also the Han and the Bobas, that's the piloting units from the set, not like from set 1.
Yep.
I'm such a sucker for like card art going over card text, and all of these have that, right? Because you have like Snoke's head's over his name, and then Han Solo just says Han because his head's just covering the Solo part. It's so cool. I love silly things like that.
Yep. Then the next ones are even cooler because if you look at that ghost, you can actually see the outline of the ship over the number, and same with that executor being over top of. It's like literally somehow I don't know how they do this. I'm not a graphic arts designer, but it's just like, oh my god, like I don't care about Luke or Poe. I just want that ghost and executor card.
Yeah, just having like the shadow effect over it. It's just like this is wild.
Yeah, it's pretty well.
They have also the better Maul art. Like, why we didn't just use this art to begin with is beyond me. There's your Falcons, Alex. You can go and get these Falcon cards because you need more of them.
Yeah, let me just win worlds real quick.
Oh, they're in the black packs. You just got to get to day 2. You know. Now we could get into the prize wall. So they officially released the Luke Skywalker and the Vader showcases, and I'm going to sit here and tell you this Luke Skywalker showcase is amazing compared to the other showcase that they have for Luke. Like, who thought that was a good idea? This is amazing. The other one, not so much. This one, this looks like Luke Skywalker. Like, in all fairness, it's not some weird wrinkly head dude.
It does look like legally different Mark Hamill.
Yeah. Like, I think this is great. I love this. I love these showcases, and I don't know how many prize tickets. I don't think they told us how many prize tickets these are going to be, but like that's going to be crazy. Like you're going to have to grind like that first day to get enough tickets to buy these because they'll sell out that first day. I guarantee it. Like somebody's going to go around. We actually were tempted. There's a guy that doesn't want to play in the big tournament, and we were trying to figure out how much we could pay him to go just mine support for us, just so we could get these showcases without having to play and all the stuff. But I don't know. Those showcases are pretty cool. These are some of the artwork for the prize wall. That Super Laser Blast.
Super Laser Blast is nuts.
Like, okay, thank you.
That's so cool.
Like, yeah, I love it. I think it's better than their current artwork. They then talk about, in addition to the specific prizes, you're going to be able to use your tickets for some silver promo packs we described earlier. So they will have some of those. They did warn us that they'll probably go pretty quickly. But essentially, you will be able to use prize support to get some of these as well. Other stuff they have is all these different sleeves, which are just bonkers. They're the same artwork. There's a Mr. Bones sleeves, which is a must have for Tanner. And if you come down here to the mats, they're going to have mats on the wall. And there is a Mr. Bones mat right there, which Tanner used for the artwork today. But that is my mat. And it matches my other one, and I don't care. That outside of the showcases, that will be the first thing I buy. Period.
Just that Boba Fett is so cool too. Sorry, like I'm not usually like a Boba Fett guy, but man, that artwork is amazing. Yeah, all this artwork's really, really cool. I might actually use a mat.
Yeah, one of their actual mats.
Yeah. Yeah. Whoa. Mine has FFG art on it. It's just Jar Jar.
So anyway, that's kind of like there isn't much else. That's kind of what they were going for. They will release more of the images once they release stuff for set 5, I'm guessing, which we're not going to talk about set 5 right now because we haven't even got through set 4, and I don't care about anything in set 5 for at least 2 months. So outside of the fact that I want a Darth Bane, please give me a Darth Bane. FFG, I hope to God you do the same thing you did in the same thing you did for Destiny. I need my Darth Bane, but it needs to be a little bit better than Destiny. I need it to be the top tier deck or Ewoks, but preferably Darth Bane. So anyway, so those are the promos. I don't know. Do you guys have anything else for those? I mean, pretty simplistic.
I mean, honestly, go ahead.
Go on. No, mine is stupid. Go on, JJ.
No, I was gonna say, I just want to give props to FFG. I mean, they've steadily increased the quality of all their arts. for the game and all the like accessories and stuff like that, that it just makes you want to get it, right, to add it to part of your collection. And it's just my hat's off to the artists that contributed this artwork for FFG, because I mean, when you compare it to when the game first came out to now, I mean, it's like a very stark difference, and they've just improved their quality every wave. And I'm just so excited to see what new designs and stuff and artwork they're going to come out for the future sets. It's going to be great.
Yeah. No, it's like some mind-blowing stuff.
Yeah.
I just want Skippy the Jedi droid.
No, you're not.
Yes.
No.
Skippy. Yes.
See, JJ agrees with me. Why can't we? JJ just be in charge of FFG. Just Skippy the Jedi droid, and then like 17 different copies of Oddball, and we're good.
All right, let's keep moving on for that. So I am excited, but as we're talking a little bit about Worlds, we had this discussion. We had a kind of the conversation a little bit before about Han Yellow, as Han Yellow was like kind of one of the bigger boogeymen, for the last PQs, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, what do we do to build it?" And then FFG decided to release cards that worked with Jango, and now Jango, even though there's a new Boba Fett, Jango is kind of what people are looking towards to replace their Sabines and their Hans with, to say, hey, this is an easier deck to kind of get into, and it's pretty hard to beat it when he could tap everything down. So I thought for our Academy training tonight, we talk a little bit about, is Jango Fett Tarkin Town beatable? All right, welcome to our Academy training. This is our segment where we talk a little bit about cool things as we learn new things about the game. One of the big questions that kind of comes up is Jango Fett beatable, right? Like, is he a beatable character? I think the answer is always yes. He was beaten quite a bit back in last PQ season, and he didn't have as many tops as he did. But Jango got some new tools in way of Devastator, in way of the War Juggernaut, in way of IG 2000. So there's some cards that kind of just gave Jango an edge. And in early testing, people are already very concerned that Jango is going to be the gatekeeper deck. Now, I'm going to openly state that I do not feel it's horrible to have a gatekeeper deck. I will say we got to be cautious, because if it turns into like a Boba Fett set one Boba Fett type, situation, we want to be able to watch it. But in fairness, it didn't have that viability in the last PQ season. It just didn't. Like, we saw a lot of Jango Fett, but we didn't see Jango Fett winning and trouncing everything. It still lost to Han. It still lost to Sabine quite regularly.
It was the third best, right? Or third most successful. I should say that really best.
Yeah. So it wasn't even top dog. Now he got new stuff, right? And if you want to go back and listen to old episodes of ours, if you want to go all the way back, I predicted this way back in last July. I was a big supporter. Everybody poo-pooed me for wanting Jango Fett, and I said, nope. I'm telling you that this leader is going to just be stupid crazy. And then as soon as they ban Boba Fett, look, we get Jango Fett now is rising up to the top. So let's just open the conversation up, and I'm going to off the cuff ask if you feel that Jango Fett is the kind of benchmarking deck. Like, if your deck can't beat Jango Fett, you probably don't want to take it to a competitive event. Do we all agree that that is at least kind of a baseline that we can look at? And we'll go ahead, JJ, if you want to give your opinion first, and then we'll hit Alex.
Yeah, I agree. Just the amount of cards that are available right now between all the different sets, Jango has a lot of, I would say, a lot of
versatility.
Yes, exactly. And he's able to be a very reliable leader, where you're really not playing from behind too many times with him, between the fire spray, between all the different pilots that you can equip, all the different events that you can equip with him to trigger his ability. He's very, very reliable, and a lot of lists have a difficult time really being a good answer for it without falling prey to the other archetypes that are out there, other leaders. So I definitely agree with the statement that he is kind of like the baseline, the benchmark of what to beat right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of like the past couple sets, right, where like Sabine is just like super popular. You should always have like some sort of answer for Sabine. And this one, you should probably have some sort of answer for Jango, be it your main deck or your side deck. Because, man, let me tell you what Jango does not like. Commandeer. So fun, so good. That's in my sideboard for basically Jango matchups, mostly. But it is pretty nice, if you're playing some other things. But yeah, like if they just TDR out like a War Juggernaut and, Jango was flipped, you just play Commandeer and you're like, cool. I have like a giant 7/7 unit that I'm going to kill Jango now with, and then it goes back to your hand, which isn't great, but it's better than nothing. And it's ready anyways, right? So as long as it's 6 or less. So like that's the plan that I have in the sideboard, right, for Jango, something like that. I think he's strong. I think he still kind of folds to control, but you don't see control early because you don't know what you're controlling yet in early meta, which is kind of like why aggro does really well at the beginning and then peters off as control comes. You just gotta figure out what's going on first. So we'll see. I mean, he's certainly strong, like IG 2000. Just, if Jango's out, you just exhaust 3 units. War Juggernaut's your entire board, and then it's also a huge thing. Like the Devastator off a triple dark raid is like 13 damage to base immediately. Don't worry about it. Or 9 to base and exhausted 4 units. So it's strong. I get it.
Yes.
We'll see where things shape up.
So let's talk a little bit about why Jango is powerful. Alex touched a little bit on it. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this. The Tarkin Town piece of it makes Jango even a little bit better. And that 5 less health, I think, is inconsequential for Jango. He does not seem to give 2 poops about that. But Jango got additional cards that he could TDR out. The Devastator and the War Juggernaut and IG2. Even IG-2000 can be brought out on turn 2 with Triple Dark Raid. And it's just, I don't know. There's some things that can happen that's just crazy with it. But because of the additional cards, it allows him to tap units down even more easily than he had before. Before you had to run some ground and some space if you wanted like ultimate tap down. Now you just got to run space. You don't need very many ground units as much to tap things down. Jango gets that 7 health, which is very important for a 5-cost leader. We've seen that be very, hard to deal with. If it was a 6-cost, for example, Plo could come out and just say, see, I have a nice time. And that's why I think Quinlan did very well into Jango, is because you could Plo Koon, or if you ran the green one, you could ECL Ayla out and just like wipe Jango off the board and just see you have a nice time. And so, I wouldn't be surprised if we still see Quinlan on the rise, because it's a great counter to some of the Jango stuff, especially the hand hate stuff. But we'll get to that in a few minutes. Jango also, could kill your Shard Warren play with Tarkin Town, so it's not as easy to race. And Jango has moved away from being like a very strict like aggro-ish deck to now it wants to be more of a tempo mid-range deck. At least currently that's how people are playing most of the Jango. And because they're doing that, it gives them they have a little bit of bigger edge over aggro, with the ability to like tap down and slow them down, and then they can win in the mid game because, what can you do when War Juggernaut comes out? Nothing,
Commandeer.
Commandeer.
Jango's always been has been good against aggro, specifically because he does exhaust their units, right? So he's usually winning the races anyways. But now he's got bigger units, so now he's just mid-range because that's a better playstyle for him. And it works pretty well.
Yeah. So, what do you feel are good strategies to counter Jango? So the few I threw up here, shield decks, right? Like Jango can't tap down decks that have millions of shields. Jango also doesn't like out of hand like burn type damage, like Boba Fett. I think Boba Fett personally, I think Boba Fett can be decently good because if you don't have to swing with all of your units all of the time to get the damage off, you just got to be able to play burn damage. also swarms that have more than one health per ship. If they only have one health, they don't do very well. But
a little bit less so Vader, more so like
Rex.
Yeah.
Like my Rex, the Rex deck I've been testing or playing around with, Jango has a harder time dealing with all of that. Like if he doesn't have something to tap every one of my units down with,
or even like
hard.
Yeah. Odd Han.
Yep.
Tends to go pretty wide too because you're playing a lot of 1s and 3s. So like the wider you go, the less Jango has the ability to control your deck until he drops a more Juggernaut when Jango's out. But at a certain point, like when Jango's coming out, like
yes,
you just gotta deal with it.
Yep. And then healing decks, anything that has a lot of healing in it, big healing. Like we're not talking like, oh, I'm gonna heal with repair for 3. I'm talking, like I could play multiple vigilances, or I have those Onyx Squadron Brutes that do that, or I have ships that have restore, or the Client. Yep, the Client's a great one. Or I have other ships that have restore, like higher levels of the restore on them. Anything that, like, if you can get to the late game with Sentinels and Shields and then drop a redemption, a lot of times Jango feels really bad at that point, because you just start healing all your damage off your base and dropping Sentinels down. So yeah, go ahead and TDR in an Avenger. It's not going to do anything because unless you can kill it, So those are the type of decks I think are really good counter strategies. Do you guys have any other decks that you've tested out against Jango that you think might do well, or types of decks?
I mean, like the yellow Obi-Wan deck that we've been updating for set 4 does pretty well in the Jango still, because you're not going to Tarkin Town whatever I play first, because I just heal it with Obi-Wan, and it's blue, so it tends to have more control. Like, you got the Concord Dawn Interceptors, you have takedowns, Fell the Dragons if, like, the War Juggernaut gets really, really big on a flip turn, or, the Devastator or whatever, and then, like, Grogu. I feel like Mass Exhaust might actually be pretty good against Jango. It's kind of, I don't know, when you think of Exhaust, you think of Jango, right? So you're not really, the mirror match is kind of wild. I mean, I haven't played a mirror match in set 4 with this, because I'm not generally playing Jango, but there's not, like, I wouldn't say, like, other strategies. It's just more like what you comprise your deck, like what you put in your deck in your sideboard. You just have to, again, you just have to have them in mind, right? Like we were saying.
Yeah. All right. So then the other thing is these are some of the leaders that I threw in there that I feel like can do decent against Jango, depending on how you build them. Like Gar Saxon, for example, and Luke are both like shieldy decks. They're going to give upgrades. They could create spike damage. They have more. They tend to play more shielded units. They also have that 2-cost covering the wing that just throws a shield and an X-wing out there, which is I don't know, silly for 2-cost. So like those were kind of like the shield deck wise. Like those are kind of where I felt they could be very beneficial. Something like a Leia can somewhat, I think now with all these extra Rebel units, has a little bit higher ability to outrace Jango if it really wants to, because Leia gets the dual action, right? Both on the ground and when she's out. So like by the time she hits her flip turn, she's just able to action economy, so she could do her stuff, play a unit, and then go to the next round. And like, so she can have the initiative to actually be able to get her ability off, which originally I was down on until I actually started testing Leia, and I was like, oh, well, actually this is pretty good into Jango, because I don't have to, like, what are you going to do? Exhaust something I already swung with? What do I care? Like, oh, and by the time you kill it, I'm just throwing another unit down and claiming. So either you don't play a unit, or you're not, like you're wasting resources, or you're not able to stop what Leia's doing. And like, I think there's enough Rebel units you can officially have literally a 100% Rebel deck without feeling bad about it. Period.
Yeah, just have it be really good, because there are a bunch of good Rebel cards in the set.
Yes, they really I don't know if they purposely did this, but they really built into Leia and said, "Here, would you guys like to play Leia again?" Yes, please.
Yeah.
No, Leia's real solid.
Yeah. You obviously have your burn deck, right? You have your Boba Fett, which I think is a decent burn deck. And then kind of on the controlling heal side, you have Kira and Thrawn, both of them can be very heal based and very control based to stop the Jango piece of it. Kira gives the shield token, so Jango can't get through things as easily. And then we have Piat, which I don't know what it is about Piat, but Piat feels like it's a kryptonite to Jango. Like, I have played Jango into like every single color Piat, and the only one I feel comfortable with is the stupid double green one, which I don't think people are gonna run.
Yeah, no one should run double green yet.
Like, you just like, even in the TDR version, which I don't really care to run, is like, oh my gosh, like, holy crap, like that actually, like, it just outperforms Jango. Like, it just can outperform Jango because it can throw larger cost ships down than Jango can.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe like a big ramp deck might be pretty good against Jango. I haven't really. I mean, I guess like target down Palpatine ramps. So like, I usually beat Jango with that, but I'm not sure if like big ramp is a good strategy. It might be. I just haven't tested it. So, but that's kind of what that's what I'm getting from your statement there with Piat. It's just like, yeah, I mean, I just drop bigger stuff and I can just kill their things.
Yep, they can drop a Devastator the same turn you can drop a Devastator, and then when they want to drop Devastator Senior, you don't have anything to compete with that. You just don't have, like, you just lose. Like, oh, you're gonna waylay? When did you put waylay? Oh, you don't have waylay in your deck. Okay, oh, you want to know good to me at dead? I don't care. You can't go through it. So
I wonder how satisfying annihilating a Devastator or War Juggernaut or IG-2000 or whatever is out of a Jango deck.
It's fun. I will tell you from experience. We'll get to this in our next segment, but I've been playing Palpatine Blue a lot, just like a lot of Palpatine Blue. Though I've started testing yellow again. I might be back on the yellow train. I don't know, but the blue is just so much fun, and it's just like, yeah, okay, as long as I can make it past like the Jango flip turn, for the most part, like I've hopefully have out-ramped him, and just dropping, like, stealing their one of their units, it's just a feel bad. And it's funny because I did this, right? They TDR'd in a Devastator, and I threw a Sentinel out there, so they swung into the Sentinel for whatever reason, and then they did the damage back, and I flipped and stole their Devastator, and then like the end of the turn happens, and I popped it, right? And they're like, well, why didn't you keep it? And I was like, because it's gonna go back to your hand, so I don't want to keep it. So I just killed it. They're like, well, that seems like a waste. And I was like, you don't have a Devastator anymore, do you?
No, I got rid of I outed your Devastator. Yeah. Like, that's a huge win.
Yep. How many do you run in that deck? And he never responded. And then next turn, I'm dropping my own Devastator. Like, all right, here you go. And then, like, the turn after that, it's an Annihilator. And at that point, you don't have anything left. So, like, there's nothing left for you. Oh, you haven't played any of your Fetch Fire Sprays? They're gone. I have a quick question, though. Can we talk about this just real quick? Like, does Annihilator kill all of the Fetch Fire Sprays in their deck?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Same thing with Regional Governor.
Which the regional I knew about. I assumed that's how that Annihilator worked. But I can never, you can't test like on the online stuff. It's like really hard to get at that because like I never know how many they're running in their deck or anything like that, right? Like you never know.
I dropped an Annihilator on my buddy's Obi-Wan leader and then knocked the 2 Obi-Wan units out of his deck.
Which is hilarious.
It was like 1 in hand, 1 in deck, yeah. And then I could look through his deck, so now I know how many redemptions to worry about and all that kind of stuff.
That's crazy, because I guess that must have happened when I killed the Boba Fett the other day, too. I wonder if it discarded their Boba Fett units that they had, too.
It should, because it doesn't care about subtitle. Anything referring to the name is just the name of the card.
Yeah. Yeah, which is hilarious.
Annihilate Millennium Falcons.
Yeah. So the question is, what happens if that unit is attached to another unit? So if you have a Boba Fett attached to an IG-2000, it only looks at that IG-2000, correct? It doesn't care about the upgrades.
Yeah. I believe so. Like I'll have to look up the card, but I'm sure it just says unit and then also deck and hand, right?
Yep.
So let me just double check that, but I'm pretty sure.
I didn't think it did.
Unit, if you do, because you defeat an enemy unit, then you search the deck and hand for each card, and then you discard them. So it doesn't matter if they're attached. Although, like, it's really hard for them to. Well, I mean, I guess you have like Han pilot and also Han units, right? So I guess that works.
Does it say enemy unit, or can you defeat your own unit?
You're searching your opponent's
enemy
deck,
unit.
So.
Okay.
You
So
defeat
here-
an enemy unit.
So we're gonna just this is just Tanner tangenting, but could you imagine in a like Iden blue deck, right? Like a double blue deck, you can drop that just so that after you play your Search the Feelings, you put all your stuff on the bottom of your deck, you can reshuffle your deck and it moves your vigilance all the way back up after you've restocked. Like, I don't know, that seems like a silly niche thing, but that would be that's hilarious. I never thought about that. Like, oh, I'm just gonna get rid of this 2-drop that I don't care about anymore and defeat everything for it, and then I get to reshuffle my deck. Seems pretty good to me.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah,
It
well,
does.
enemy unit.
Okay, so that's why I asked if it was enemy unit or not. All right, never mind then. So anyway, long story short, these are some of the leaders I feel are pretty well poised. I guess we didn't really talk about Ray. I think Ray has the hand destruction piece, and I didn't throw Quinlan on here just because the hand destruction, I don't know if it's going to slow Jango down enough to make it matter or not. I don't know because I've not tested that.
Communications take out events, so if you can hit their TDRs or whatever, that helps out a lot.
Yes. And it's not like they can resource a TDR and like smuggle it back out unless you have a tech and they don't ever run tech.
Yeah, I mean, if at that point it's like, well, so be it, right? They snuck tack into their Jango deck, so I can't account for something like that.
But so these are kind of the decks I feel like. I didn't want to give you specific decks that I think are going to counter Jango. I think that'll come. But these are kind of the leaders I would be looking towards, like fielding if I was saying, hey, I have to tech specifically against Jango in the meta. I think these are the ones that are probably strongest poised to be able to counter some of it. With the caveat that I think Quinlan could make a reappearance with the Tarkintown aspect, being able to a Quinlan red deck being able to be good again. Or not again, but good still against the Jango deck. All right. Anything else about Jango before we run away and look at some decks?
You think it's a possibility that he might be the second leader to get?
No. If we're going to be honest, I don't think so. I like people thought the same thing with Han, and Han still didn't. Even as much as Han won, Han still did not edge things out. Like he still was underneath Boba's by like 15 to 20%, something like that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I don't personally foresee it. I feel that they made this set a little bit stronger. And the fact that the worst would be is if Piat's the only thing that kills Jango, do you just run Piat versus Jango all the time? And then, if we are running more Piats, is that going to push more aggro out, or does it bring more aggro in? And then that's when does Pelp just come back and say, it's going to be a Pelp meta and everybody's just going to run Pelp again? I don't know.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, I ran a lot of Pelp, and as you all know, so I don't know. Anyway, that's our Jango. Hopefully that helps you as you kind of work through your journey to, try to find a deck that you want to play that's not a Jango deck. And unless you want to play Jango, then more power to you. And hopefully I crush you at tables just because Jango shouldn't be that powerful. But yeah. Anyway. We're going to talk tonight about some new deck lists. We got some new decks that we threw together that we've been testing. Some ones that I think we love. And if there's some that are very thematic, there's some that are just like silly. But we decided we threw some decks together that have had let's just say over a 50% win rate is what I'm just going to say. Is it's just had a little bit better of a win rate. It's not going to be top meta decks, but it's just like decks that I have found super, super, super fun to play during the week. And yes, there is a Pelp in there, so you know. So. All right, so the first deck I have up tonight is a Rex droid manufacturing deck. And people were running this before, but man, did it get a couple of cool additional cards to the set that just make me want to really, really love to run this.
One card. It was one card.
Oh,
pushes this over the edge.
Fine. There's one card that makes it better, but this deck is super fun to run. like nobody's business. This is fun to run. And like it's funny when people don't know what this deck does, because immediately people will be like, how did you do? I had somebody message me, goes, how does every one of your units have like +5/+5? And I was like, it's this card. Well, that card's broken. Only in this deck. In no other deck is it broken. Just this one deck, and it's not even really broken in this deck. If you know how to counter it, you probably aren't going to lose to this deck. But I've been having a lot of fun running it. I call it my Wizard of Oz deck, and mine is probably different than yours. Some people are running more units than some of them. I do have a few more 2-ofs than normal. But the way this deck works with the Unity of Purpose, right, is you want to have different unit names out there, right? And then they add them all up and add all of this, add everything to it. So as long as they haven't hit their Super Laser Blast churn, you're good. Once they hit their Super Laser Blast churn, you're never going to win. So they'll just wipe your board and you can cry a little bit.
Yeah, you play Unity of Purpose and then you auto win the game in one turn. If you don't get Unity of Purpose, you kind of just lose.
Yes.
I mean, presumably.
I don't know. I've had this deck do decently well without Unity of Purpose, just so you know. Like, I have had it work where I've won games without it.
This is a lot different than my Droid Manufacturing Rex deck. Mine is lower to the curve, but also is just a bunch of draw power, so I do get to Unity of Purpose really quick.
Yep.
So it's interesting that, I mean, yours is, I mean, more, I mean, I guess if you want to go over it, like, this is your deck, right? That is mine, so.
Yeah. So I have 2 of the, what is it, the 101st or something?
332nd.
332nd clone troopers in there. 2 R2D2s, 3 of the battlefields, 2 Colonel Yularians, and that's the control player in me having to have that. I don't think you have to have that guy in there, but I have it in
3 of.
I just have him in there because he heals. Yeah, he just heals so much in this deck.
I have the lowest health base in the game. I need all the healing I can get because if I don't draw Unity of Purpose, I need to actually play the game.
Yeah. I have 2 of the 2-cost Echoes, 3 of the Phoenix Squadrons, 2 of the 501st Legionnaires. Those are the healing ones if you have another Republic unit out. 2 Admiral Akbars, though I could see Admiral Akbar actually going up to 3. He is very, very good on Rex's flip churn. I have 3 of the other Admiral Yularians because it adds the restore, plus it adds the extra health to all your units. 3 blue leaders, 2 Cobb Vanth, 3 of the Echo Base, 3 Hu Youngs, 2 Hu Youngs, 3 of the Sindari Peacekeepers, 2 of manufacturing soldiers, which I don't know why I like that card in there. Sometimes I just resource it, but once in a while that card works really well because you get 2 clone troopers out of it. So like if you could play that on Rex's flip churn, he then has that like all that extra buff, and as long as you have that Unity of Purpose, then you can start like accumulating your next turn. Resupply 3 Bright Hopes, 2 of the Enterprising Lackeys, and again that's just Tanner being Tanner. Like I played that so much in green pelt that I just can't get away from it. If I'm playing double green, I just can't help myself.
I mean, 5 for 4 that respawns is pretty nice.
Yep, and then allows you to pull things out and put them in your discard, and it's really, really good. I have 3 commands in there, 2 Marauders, and then the 3 Unity of Purpose. I don't have tutor cards, so yes, you might not pull your Unity of Purpose. There is ways to add those cards in there, and we could talk about that in a minute if you want to. My sideboard is just kind of a thrown together one. I have 2 techs in there, which may end up moving to the main deck, depending on like how you want to play this deck, just because it would allow you to resource your Unity of Purpose and be able to play it out of your your resource row. But right now I find that it's too slow and it's not worth it. I have 2 Radises in there, 3 of General Recons, and 3 Scanning Officers, which are mainly for the Hans and the Jango decks. To be perfectly honest with you, outside of that, I don't like use it a lot, but like the Hans and the Jango decks like are the ones that give this deck a little bit of trouble. But I will tell you, like, if they don't have a War Juggernaut and you hit your Unity of Purpose a turn before they do, like, you get it on the turn Jango like is coming out. So if Jango flips, you have to just be very careful because they'll just War Juggernaut your whole your whole thing and don't play your Unity of Purpose to just have it die. That would be sad. I did that once and then I regretted it.
Just ramp and you'll be fine.
Yeah. So that's my deck. I don't know, you guys' thoughts. I like it. I think this is probably not a deck I'm going to take to a PQ, but this is like super fun to put on the table. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. I like it a lot. Just having, it does feel like it's very low to the ground in terms of like the cost for like a lot of your units out there, which is great because you want to have the maximum amount of units out there. I wish you had a little more space presence, but I think you have just enough just to not let yourself get overrun. But yeah, this is definitely fun.
Oh, JJ, I have less space presence.
Really?
I just have 3 Bright Hopes, and no, I got the Phoenix Wings in there as well.
Okay.
But like I don't have the Marauders or anything. It's just like I could probably outpace you on the ground. Mine's also lower the curve. I got a lot of 1-drops in there. And also, instead of manufactured soldiers, man, enforce loyalty. Double green, kill a friendly unit, draw 2. I don't know, kill a clone trooper, whatever. You'll get it back. Kill a droid, just draw 2.
That's good. I didn't think about that. That's actually good. That's a good one. I probably should put that.
And I got V-wings. Oh, sorry, that was my other space. It was the V-wings because you play it, you draw a card, so you can dig for Unity of Purpose faster, which is the entire point of the deck, right? If you don't hit Unity of Purpose again, you probably lose.
Maybe, I don't know. I've won with this without Unity of Purpose, just so you know.
I mean, me too. Oh, I also dug 38 cards deep to get 1 of my Unity of Purposes in my 3 of, which is real cool, having 3 cards in your bottom 12. I also have Maz. Maz is really fun in this deck.
Yep, I've been putting Maz. I don't know. The problem I have is that when I do play it, like then they just kill Maz, which is fine, I guess, right? Because like it's like kind of like a pseudo Sentinel. I don't know. I don't know what I would cut to put her in there. Maybe the R2D2s, I guess. I like R2D2 as a problem, a lot.
Yeah, so R2D2s also help you get to the Unity of Purpose by bodying your top card of the deck. Yeah. So you don't want to get rid of those. Yeah. I don't have Cobb Vams. I don't have Blue Leaders. I don't even have Admiral Lawrence.
That's crazy to me.
I don't need the extra health. I got more units and draw, right? So. I mean, I'll send you my deck, but I like this. It's super sacky. It's really funny.
Yeah. Basically, if you can find the wizard, you win. That's what it is. So. All right. Well, let's move on. You have a Hera deck that you put together, which is fairly similar to the Hera deck I had been testing out. I think this is probably the most exciting thing that we could talk about in SWU, just because Hera was like, outside of Jin, Hera was like the leader nobody played. Except for I played it in Twin Sun. I played Hera in Twin Suns, and she's amazing in Twin Suns. I don't care what anybody says. You don't even have to care about the Spectres. Just in Twin Suns, I think she's like awesome. And like, anyway, whatever. So this is your Hera Lake County deck.
Yeah, Lake Country, let's go. Hera. So I still don't like Zeb, so I don't have Zeb in here. If I had timely interventions or maybe like an ECL, I could throw in Zeb, but not for Lake Country. So this is just double chopper, double 2-drop echo. We'll get over to that. Triple Hera, the pilot. Triple Phoenix Squadron A-Wing, triple Red Sabine, double Death Star plans, mostly because I don't have a 3rd copy yet. Double Inspiring Mentor, because I more experience. Triple Echo Base Defender, triple Ezra, double the Phantom 2, triple Sabine's Masterpiece, double Strike True. That's probably going to go up to 3 soon. Triple the 4-cost Echo, triple Kanan, triple Yellow Sabine, triple the 5-cost Ghost, triple Marauder, double the 6-cost Ghost, double Ewing Reinforcement, and double Green Home 1. In the side, I have triple Sparkler Belly and triple Bright Hope, the 3rd copy of Home 1, and then triple Reinforcement Walker. And what this deck does is you just get really giant units really fast between the Echoes, the Death Star plans that drop more units, and Hera herself, just experience, a lot of experience. yeah, a lot of experience, a lot of just solid things, and then Kanan mills like 8 cards off their deck.
Yep. Yeah,
It's
I don't
wildly
know.
fun.
It is. This deck is this is like I tried to buy a Hera Showcase and I was like, I'm not gonna pay $200 for it. Now people are trying to sell them for $300. Like this is probably one of the few set ones I would still buy, outside of Palpatine, and that's just because because of this deck, and because if we get even if we get 2 or 3 more Spectre units in the next 6 months, it's probably just worth it, just because I don't know. This is fun. Like, if you want to play something fun, this here, folks, is what you should take to your locals.
Yeah,
So,
the 4-cost Echo, because you have a lot of the same named things, right? Including Echo themselves, right? But you have a couple different Sabines that Echo just dumps off of, and then it feeds directly into the Marauder because you have a copy of a card with the same name. So just Echo, next turn Marauder, and then now Hera's out because you ramped. And then you could also you can give Hera experience with Echo by pitching the other Hera, which is really nice. Just a bunch of really cool stuff. Ezra can dump cards into the discard pile for your Marauders. And then Yellow Sabine is, you can't attack her when she's exhausted unless she has Sentinel, so you can throw Death Star plans on her, then they can't attack her, which is pretty mean. Yeah, I mean, it's just a bunch of really cool, we'll just do a bunch of shenanigans and then, hit shockingly hard.
Yeah. And this fits that whole theme deck piece, right? This is what we would talk about when we talk about theme. We talk about this. This is Star Wars. When people talk about some of this other stuff, like Admiral Piat, yeah, that's pretty cool. Thrawn, that's pretty cool. This is epitome Star Wars right here. And it touches my heart because Rebels was one of my favorite shows throughout the whole length of it. If we took Clone Wars, I like about 50% of it. Rebels, I love all of it. I've watched that 3 times since it's come out in totality. It's just one of my absolute favorite TV shows.
I'll get around to watching it eventually.
I think with future sets, if they end up developing more pilots, I would love to see more variations of Hera, because obviously she's piloted every ship that's out for the Rebels right now. And then same thing with Kanan and Ezra being their pilot versions of themselves. They can add on to this particular list as well to go with Echo. I think would be really, really strong. This deck by itself looks like a ton of fun, and I can't wait to put this in person and put it out. It looks fun.
Yeah, JJ, it's a blast. I played against a thermal oscillator new Han. That's just a lot of space and a lot of bonus, and I'm just no, it's fine. I'm still good. There's a little bit enough space. If they don't take out your Phoenix Squadron A-Wing on turn 1, now you just shove Hera on there. Now it's a 5/5 restore 1. Deal with it, and then I can play Chopper afterwards or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Just sticking Ezra is huge if you have the Marauder in hand. And just ramping off the Marauder is really nice.
Yeah. So JJ, this deck, you can actually run 80% of this deck with your current card pool. There's only a few cards in here I think you have to have that you probably don't have.
Yeah, really just the A-Wing and Sabine's tie and Sabine herself, the new Sabine. But I can easily get that. So yeah.
Well, the new did you get the new Ghost? You don't have any set 4 stuff yet, do you?
No, I haven't. No. But
the Ghost, Phantom, Sabine's masterpiece.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the Phantom's not even that good.
No, it's
there. It's mostly there because it's a Phantom, and I can dock it to the Ghost, which I've done. But I mostly resource it. I actually mostly resource Sabine's masterpiece too, which feels wrong. But a lot of the times, I'm just I don't really need this card right now.
Yeah, and it's easy to kill. So if they're running a deck and they know what your deck does,
instantly dies.
Yeah, they can just kill things with it. It's sad because I think it needed that 4 health personally. But
too good.
But yeah, I am the same way. I've actually stopped running Sabine's masterpiece in a lot of the decks, just because of that reason. People just kill it, and then you don't get any use out of it.
But later in the game, after you're turning a corner, that thing is really good just to heal and give out experience.
All right, let's jump into JJ's Thrawn Tarkin Town, which I don't know if I've seen a Thrawn Tarkin Town. I've seen a Thrawn Oscillator deck, but I've not seen a Tarkin Town deck.
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely.
The no 1-offs, no 3-offs. I'm just running 25 2-offs deck.
Yeah. So I actually went through several iterations of this particular deck, mainly because I felt like there are a lot of great when defeated options for this particular deck. So I kind of went down for the 2-2-2-2-2 just to give me a little more flexibility for different options on there. So I'll run this deck here. So yeah, it's the new Thrawn, the JTL Thrawn with Tarkin Town. We got 2 copies of the First Order Stormtrooper, 2 Given to Your Angers, 2 Protectors, 2 Top Targets, 2 Director Krennics, 2 00M Series Officers, 2 Onyx Squadron Brutes, 2 Rokai Gunships, 2 Vowels, 2 Self-Destructs, 2 Brutal Traditions, 2 copies of the Battle Droid Escorts, 2 Black Sun Starfighters, 2 Calculating Magna Guards, 2 Droid Missile Platforms, 2 Lambda Shuttles, 2 Lieutenant Chiltons, 2 No Glory Only Results, 2 CR90 Relay Runner, 2 Chimeras, 2 Ruthless Raiders, 2 Shadowcasters, 2 Rivals Falls, 2 copies of the Fleet Interdictor, and then lastly 2 Supreme Leader Snokes to round off the list. This deck is great. Like, it offers me a lot of flexibility. I chose Tarkin Town just for the event that my opponent plays something that I need to take out immediately that might like disrupt the flow of my units on there. I particularly put on the Protectors so that way I could target particular ships in the event that I didn't have any Sentinels available, but I could force my opponent to target particular ships so that way I can trigger their when defeated ability. For instance, in one game that I had a Shadowcaster out on the board that I set up on turn 6. And then on turn 7, I was able to get out my Ruthless Raider, deal 2 damage when it was played, and then attach the Protector onto the Ruthless Raider. They were forced to go into my Ruthless Raider. They were able to defeat it, and then I was able to trigger the Ruthless Raider's when defeated ability twice with the Shadowcaster, and then again with Thrawn, which allowed me to put 6 damage into their base, which is absolutely bonkers. And then I also want to make sure I had plenty of heal on here because I do have 25 health base. Those Onyx Squadron Brutes are really great for me to heal potentially 4 damage off and keep my base up healthy. Same thing with top targets. If I know that my opponent's going to be forced to go into like one of my Sentinel units, I can trigger that and heal some damage off of my base. Same thing with Given to Your Anger. It's actually a really good way to have a big unit that is that could potentially go into your base and force them to attack one of my units. I like having that bit of control there and have them basically not be able to attack my base for that one turn. So it's a nice little debuff for my opponent there.
Oh man, your Annihilator has to attack my Rokai gunship. What a shame.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah, it's great.
I'm just gonna ask a dumb question. Why do you not have Power of the Dark Side? Like you don't have Power of the Dark Side.
So
hold on. That's not the only one. Like, that's not the only card I'm gonna question you on. I also don't know why you don't have any Vigilance in here. Like, and why you have Chilsons, I wouldn't run Chilson in this deck. You're only got 30 blue cards. Like, Chilson does not like that at all.
Yeah, so Chilson was one of the cards I was kind of iffy on, but there were so many games, so many hands where I'm like, man, I really could have used Chilson just to have that Sentinel piece and have that buff, because there were times that when I did have him, I had at least 2 blue cards in my hand. So more often than not, Chilson has come through. Even he wasn't getting like the full bonus of like having every card in my hand being blue. He felt strong enough as a Sentinel piece for where I can have enough blue cards to at least get him buffed up just enough in the event my opponent went like land or ground unit heavy. So that's why I left it on there. And for what was the Power of the Dark Side?
You have Protector on there. Like, get rid of that card. That's a 3 cost that you can put 2 Power of the Dark Sides, and it does this. Like, It kills
I
the
don't know.
unit.
Yeah, but the thing is that I
Like
want
Chewbacca.
to. Yeah, I want to. I want to direct my opponent to my particular ships, right? Like in the event that they happen to just kill my Sentinel units out there, having the ability to choose Sentinel for specific units that I want them to kill in order for me to trigger my when defeated ability has saved my ass more than once. So like I feel in this particular build, Protector has worked out for me a lot more because I can focus my opponent's aggression on a particular unit to trigger the when defeated.
Protector is a better option than an out of aspect 5 cost Captain Tycho.
That's true.
All right. I don't know, like, and you don't have Felden
3
Dragons.
Krennics, JJ. 3 Krennics.
And, like, yeah, Krennic is just
Your,
like...
your whole deck is when defeated. Just run 3 Krennics. It's okay.
Yeah, dump the... Like, dump the stupid, the droids that create little droids, the black card. I don't know what it's called anymore.
Yeah, so the Battle Droid Exorts,
dump those.
yeah.
Just get rid of it. It's gone. See ya. Have a nice time. Run 3 Krennic immediately. Like, that... Like, Krennic is just so good. Like Krennic discounts everything. Like, you don't have to play on curve anymore with that. I don't know. I would dump those, and I would add another Krennic in, and then, I mean, like, I would dump that Sentinel card. I don't like that card at all. I don't think in this deck it's good. It's fine, I guess, but it's just 3 costs, heavy penalty pay.
It's like, honestly, it's just the Battle Droid Escort you don't really get any payoff for, because, like, you get 2 droids out of it, but you don't have, like, exploit stuff, so
yeah,
you're not getting a crazy amount of payoff. Oh,
you're not getting. There's no payoff to it. Like, that card is actually
you can run Dooku though. You should run Dooku, the red Dooku, because you actually have the.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Run the red Dooku, kill your own stuff, and then deal the power out, and then have a monster.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll definitely have to add that in. Yeah.
Dooku
then,
would be very good.
Like JJ, you and I were talking about, it's like, hey, if you're running out of cards, maybe the curve's a little bit wonky, so maybe up it a little bit. Take out the droid escorts, throw in some Dookus. Throw in a 3rd Krennic for the love of Christ. Just do it.
Get rid of your brutal tradition.
Actually, dude, the fact that I can play that upgrade for free after it's removed has come in handy, not for nothing. So
you don't play it for free. You still have to pay for it.
You can play
it from your discard. Yeah. You just have you do have to pay.
Yeah,
for
you still have to pay for it, but
yeah.
Just being able to bring that out and reinforce somebody on a turn, without having to wait for it to like draw another upgrade has been handy. So, but
I don't mind it.
I definitely agree with the Dooku and definitely add in the extra Krennic for sure.
All right, so let's go. We're gonna go back to yellow Obi-Wan. We got a yellow Obi-Wan in the house. Woo, woo.
Speaking of decks that are incredible against Jango, by the way.
Yeah, we had a segment earlier. If you are only watching this postpartum and you want to see, like, we have other segments that we do. This segment, this deck was referenced in another segment specifically because this deck, your buddy took this deck to, almost top 8. He was number 9.
I pushed him out.
Pushed him out, which was probably my fault because I went almost undefeated.
I just won. No, I won more games than he did because
okay.
I took 1 game off of you, and that's what put me in the 8/9.
So I will take a little bit of the blame for that one, but he had we should have him on the show actually to talk a little bit about a little bit more in depth about this. But I still want to cover this tonight because I think we were very down on Obi-Wan. Did he ever get his showcase?
Oh, he did actually recently because it shot down to $140. So he picked it up.
Good. I'm happy he got happy he got the showcase he wanted because he's like, this is the only deck I really want to run. It's just this deck, and I was like, all right, well then you should probably just invest in the showcase anyway because like at this point, like for Christ's sake, we should have him on the. You message Phil.
Let's get Justin. Yeah.
You just message him and we'll have him on the show in a couple weeks or something like that. But what is the Obi-Wan Yellow deck?
So this is Obi-Wan Yellow. This is kind of what we landed on now, and we're still trying to vet it through. But it seems really good so far through testing. So it's got triple fireball, which is great with Obi-Wan because you just heal the damage that it just took, so it doesn't actually like have a 3-turn counter, which is really nice. Grogu, which is criminally underrated. One, can't be Tarkin downed off a ping because I just have more than 4 health. But also just ruins a lot of aggro decks. And it's fun against things where like you shove a pilot into the ship and you're just like, I exhaust him. That was fun. But yeah, triple Fireball, triple Grogu, triple Hera Pilot, triple Restored Arc, triple Concord Dawn Interceptors, triple the 3-cost Yellow Falcon, triple Village Protectors, triple Yoda, triple Waylay, double Jedi Lightsaber, triple Perilous, double Kanan, double Fel, double Takedown, double Obi-Wan's Aether Sprite, double Plo Koon, double Obi-Wan, double Rivals Fall, which I will defend so hard in this deck, triple Luke, and double Redemption. In the side, it's double Bamboozle, double Clear the Field, which is just hilarious against Vader decks. A 3rd copy of Takedown, a 3rd copy of Redemption, double Commandeer, and then double Change of Heart.
And 1 Redemption.
Yeah, so the 3rd copy of Redemption.
So I think for me, like the big thing, like I would run 51 cards and just throw that other Redemption in the main deck.
Oh, this is 51 cards.
Oh. I might run 52 cards to throw that other Redemption in that main deck.
You generally don't need it because there's so much restore with the Heras, the Arcs, and the Yodas, and the Kanans, and Lukes. You generally don't need... Honestly, the Redemption is more of like, I'm a giant 6'9" Space Sentinel, and occasionally I might heal some damage off like Obi-Wan Leader. But man, shove a Jedi lightsaber on a Grogu on turn 2 and watch your opponent try to scramble to do something.
Yeah, they don't do anything, yes.
Like, it's just, I can kill everything up to 5 health, probably not take any damage, and if I do, it's usually 1, which I heal immediately, or I can exhaust you. It's your choice.
Mm-hmm.
We recently added the Plo Koons in there. It used to be triple Kanan, triple Jedi lightsaber, because, man, that is threatening if you shove a Jedi lightsaber on something. But the Plo Koons are just... I mean, they're Plo Koon, right? Like, they're nice.
They're nice, yeah.
They are really nice to have. And you can also put a Jedi lightsaber on them if you really want. But this is just like a toolboxy, control-leaning mid-range deck that just blocks and heals enough that like it can usually outlast things until it starts doing serious damage.
Yeah, I would just, for me, opening up that sideboard to put jam communication in there, I like that. But, I mean, I guess you probably don't need it as much.
I considered it.
You also don't have that, the shield, whatever that shield, close the X-Wing or whatever it's called.
I'll close the shield doors.
Yeah.
Close the shield
No.
doors.
No, it's the one that creates an X-Wing and then gives a shield token.
Yeah, the shield and the... Yes, I considered it for sure. I just it just like I couldn't find a spot for it.
Yeah, I don't know where you
basically.
put it. Yeah.
Like it's just everything else is so like kind of like I don't know where to put Covering the Wing. Like even in the sideboard, like the Bamboozles are really strong, the Commandeers are really strong, the Change of Hearts are really strong. You need the 3rd Redemption. And so far in testing, like, Clear the Field, it's really good against really, like, go wide decks, right? Like, we were talking in a different segment about how that can be useful to stopping a lot of things. If they go wide, and there's a lot of the same stuff, or if there's a lot of tokens, especially like Vader, you just clear it all. It's gone now. It's in the name. Clear the field. Also, if they have 2 different Falcons, it bounces all the Falcons back. Including the 6-drop one, if they have a 3-drop one, because you choose the 3-drop one, and then it bounces all copies of the name back. So you could bounce the 6-cost one back if you wanted to. Because you are not selecting that off the card. You are selecting the other one.
Yeah, off the other one.
Yeah. So
same with that, like Echoes. If you had 2 Echoes out, you could do the same.
Right. So it's kind of interesting, like the waylays, if people start going tall with their pilots... bounce is the answer. But man, those main deck Rivals Falls, they're so good. They have saved us so many times. Like I was playing like my yellow red Boba deck, and I'm just like, here's yellow Fett's Fire Spray. I put Boba Fett in there. I dealt 4 damage, and he's like, cool, Rivals Fall. And I'm like, well, there goes that whole turn.
Yeah.
It's for when things get a little bit out of hand, which it happens sometimes.
Yeah, that's why I put it in my Throne deck. Yep.
And normally I'm not like a big let's run Rivals Fall, but in this particular deck, it's like this is actually just like for the stuff that I can't handle all if it gets like way out of control or you're not drawing anything. Those Rivals Falls actually, it's a nice fallback.
Yeah. I like it. I think it's fine. Like, I don't actually disagree with Rivals Fall ever, typically. It's the better Vanquish. There you go. So
it's the, well, you put a Vader on like a War Juggernaut, time to play Rivals Fall.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't do that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me.
Ugh. All right, so let's move on. This is my Pelp Blue Set 4 Colossus deck. The extra 5 health, I will tell you, actually makes a big difference with Pelp than I thought it would. I actually originally was not testing it, and then because I do not like having limited choices in hand draw. And I found even into hand hate decks, I'm not as concerned about it. If they go super heavy hand hate, where that's all they're playing, I'm not as worried about it because that means they have no units on the board, and like it's just their Quinlan, that comes out, right? Like it's like, oh, okay, you brought Quinlan out, then I just got 1 unit to deal with. Okay, fine. Especially the ones that want to play like Force Throw turn 1 when there's no Force unit out. Like, okay, thanks. Like, all right. And even if they have a unit out that's a Force unit, I could care less because I don't typically have a unit that with Pelp turn 1. But anyway, so I have 3 Salacious Crumbs, which that's my bubble card right now. And I'll talk about it a little bit in a few minutes why. But I have 3 Krennics, 3 of the Dr. Pershings, 2 Infernal Floors, 3 Oxys, Brutes, 3 Pelp Rogar, because I have now hyperspace versions of those, so I will never not run them.
So jealous.
I have 3 of the Super Laser Techs, 2 Merciless Contests, 3 Powers, 3 Resupplies, 1 Fell the Dragon, 3 of the Vigilances, 2 the gunships, 3 No Glory, No Guts, 2 Resupply Carriers, 3 Vaders, 2 Reinforcement Walkers, which I really just love, like really want another Reinforcement Walker because I love that card so much. Anyway, 2 Snokes, 2 Avengers, 2 Devastators, and 1 Annihilator. Recently, what I've actually done is I've actually swapped out one of those Merciless Contests for a second Annihilator, ironically enough, just because
Annihilators are fun to play.
But when I get to that point, like if I get to play that down and I haven't won, I usually win. Like at that point, the only thing I lose to is
should have won with a Devastator drop, but
nah. If I have an Annihilator and a Devastator in hand, I'll just resource the Devastator and keep my Annihilator just so I can play it because I love my Annihilator so much. I have hyperspaces of those now too. So, anyway, so my sideboard is the 3 top target, 3 of the scanning officers, 3 of the Pelp's return, and then these are my float cards: are 2 Maul, 2 Super Laser Blast, and 2 Relentless. If we don't have a control meta, the Relentlesses can just go away. Like if there's not going to be a lot of control, I don't need it. If there's going to be a lot of control, then you have to have Relentlesses. And I think in the long run, like I actually don't care as much about Super Laser Blast as I thought I did. Like I just don't care about it very much anymore.
With a lot of the cards in here, it seems like you don't really need it.
I stopped. Like I will tell you, like 1 every 15 games, I want 1, and then I feel sad I don't have 1. But mostly, I don't ever feel bad and don't want them. So that's my list. I actually, like I said, I've added another Annihilator in there, and I've gone down to only 1 Merciless Contest. And really, the Merciless Contests they're just there for like the Super Laser Techs. If I can't like,
they're so good.
Kill it.
Contest is so good.
It is, but it doesn't deal with leaders. So once they upgrade their unit to a leader unit, I didn't know this, but they could choose their leader unit, and that card just becomes pointless then. So I've had
no, they can't choose their leader unit. It says each player chooses a non-leader.
Yep, and so if they have no other units, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, well, don't play the card.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, so it's just I found it,
but they can't like have a unit and then choose their leader unit because that you have to choose a non-leader.
And I played a mirror match, and the guy asked me, why am I running Annihilator's main deck? And he's like, you sideboarded these in. I was like, no, I just run Annihilators. I like this card. Like,
they're cool.
Like, this is just like, I just think it's a really good card, and I can, like, if I'm playing against like a mid-range deck, I could just hard ramp into that card. And then, like, it kills their, like, oh, you dropped a Luke? No, you didn't. It's gone. You don't have a Luke anymore. Oh, you dropped an Obi-Wan.
Never was any Lukes.
Yep, there was there was never any Lukes. There's no more Obi-Wans. There's no, I don't know, like home ones. Home one was a big one. Actually, people were running like dual sets of home runs. Like, there you go. See ya. Have a nice time with that one. I don't know. I like it, and like I run it in my Piat deck. And I run it here in Vader or in Pelt. But this my Pelt blue deck. This is like, I don't know. Salacious Crumb is kind of my bubble card. Like, I like Salacious Crumb. He is super good. I cut Yularen out of this deck when we went to set 4. There is a conversation that could happen where I need to put him back in for healing, but I don't run the green cards that I used to run. And I cut Chilsons. Like, I don't run Chilsons anymore. I don't. I find them pointless in the long run of things. Even into the Jangos, I just don't care. I'm more worried.
Surprised. Oh, sorry.
I say I'm more worried about their big units in Jango than I am, anything else. So
I'm a little bit surprised it's not like Rune Hako, right? Or like the Wartime trade officials. Look at a little bit more officials there, but like I don't know what you'd even got to put those in there. So
yeah, well, you know what I found is that we haven't had enough ground. I need ground sentinel. I have those Royal Guards in there because we've literally ran Royal Guards with Pelp since set 1. Like, it's just, it's like, to me, it's just an auto include that I can't get away from. And like, it's a great, like, you have the Krennics, and because Krennic comes in shielded, he's a lot harder to kill with aggro decks. Like, they have to spend a couple of units on him. And, like Krennic hands down in this deck is amazing because I can play Krennic, and then turn 2 I could play a super laser tech and kill it in the same turn, and just like put a damage on something, and then I can it's like an easy ramp if I want without having to play resupply. And or I could play, if I don't want to do that, I could put a Salacious Crumb down now, and now I've got a Salacious Crumb sitting there ready to give you with a middle finger. And I don't. This deck is super fun. Yeah, you could do either.
Both because you kill the super laser tech, you get the resource
true.
back.
Yep.
So
Yeah, you could do
that. Yeah.
You don't have any cards in hand, but you could do that. But that again, Pelp draws his own cards, so like, whatever. Like, once I ramp hard enough, I don't care about Krennics. I just kill. I just like, sorry, Krennic, you're gone. Like, I don't need you anymore, baby. I don't know. I love Pelp a little too much. If you've listened to our show before, we are somewhat the Pelp podcast. Like, we should just have renamed ourselves the Palpatine podcast, because I think like we've ran it, like way too much.
We're on it. So are you.
I don't know. All right. You want to move on to your mono red Poe?
Yeah, dude, this deck's wild.
Yep. Is this better than Sabine red?
I haven't made a set for Sabine red, but this deck is wild. It's very unassuming. So it's a mono red Poe Tarkentown, and this one is slightly modified because I ran out of like Sabine, so I include Frisk. So whatever. So this is double BB-8, double of the Crackshot V-Wings, triple Daring Raid, triple Black One, the 2-cost Black One, triple Bo-Katan, triple Frisk, triple the Green Squadron A-Wing, triple the Red Squadron Y-Wing, triple Keep Fighting, triple Stay on Target, triple Cassian, double Fighters for Freedom, triple Red 5, triple K2SO, which might actually get cut, which is weird because he just doesn't fit the deck. Triple Aggression, triple of the Tactical Heavy Bomber, the stupid Resistance Bomber things, Triple Gorilla Attack Pod and double Relentless Fire Spray. And the side, I am not totally vetted everything out yet, but I got double Shoot Down, double Chaos of War, double of the double Red Saw Guerrera, double Wild Rancor, and then double Mace Windu. And here's a fun fact, JJ. You know Stay on Target, where I attack with a vehicle and does +2 damage, and then when that unit deals damage to a base, I draw a card? If that unit has indirect damage, and they put the damage on their base from the indirect damage, that's my unit doing damage to their base. I want to draw 2 cards.
Oh, man, that's so good.
Or if it's the Tactical Heavy Bomber, you draw 3. And then keep fighting, because that thing has 3 attack for some reason. But also the Stay on Target bumps up the attack, so the Tactical Heavy Bomber does 5 indirect damage first.
That's so good. Oh, man.
It is a red deck that plays a bunch of cards, but also has like a shocking amount of card draw. And then Poe, you can just bounce them around, do whatever. You just shove them in a Gorilla Attack Pod too, which is hilarious. Because that is a vehicle. And also the Relentless Fire Spray, where it just swings in for like 12 because Poe's buffing it.
Yeah, and just readies, and you're like, oh, thank God. Yeah, look at this.
Fun things I've done is I have chosen to remove 2 upgrades with aggression, and one of them was my Poe pilot.
Just so you can use
at 5 resources, so I can knock them back off and then deploy them on the ground for an extra 4 damage.
Yep.
Hilarious. No one expects that coming. I'm working with the Frisks. They used to be Sabine. Frisk is kind of cool. I kind of wanted more pilots, honestly, and I didn't want like the 3-1 pilot. Is a little bit wonky there. So I went with Frisk, which also just fits the theme of upgrade removals. And it's a wild deck. It's actually like really, really fun. And the BB-8s, you can ready up Poe when he's on the ground for another 4 damage. You can ready up a black one. You can just put BB-8 in the black one and ready it at the same time. Or your stupid resistance bomber.
Mm-hmm.
Which is hilarious card.
Have you ever thought about putting that dilapidated speeder in here?
I have considered it.
Yeah, I don't know where you would put it. I mean, I guess you cut K2SOs. Cut K2SOs and put it in there.
But if I'm going to run the dilapidated ski speeders, I'm going to have to put bigs in the deck, and then you put bigs on the dilapidated speeder, and then it gets grit because it's a speeder, so then you swing in for a lot of damage, and I'm just like, I don't have room for that. It's also not rad for the Fighters for Freedom, but whatever. 3 cards isn't, right?
Yeah, I don't think that matters. You're only running 2 of them anyway, so
yeah.
It's not like you're consistently going to always have them out there.
I had to cut one of those, which felt like a wrong cut, but I had to do it.
Yeah, I actually would have cut one of the K2SOs over that, I think.
Yeah, it just felt kind of weird not to have like a triple K2SO. Because I want some ground presence, and like it is 3 extra damage on their base. It does have overwhelm, so I don't know. Just every time I play it, I just like I'd rather resource this. But yeah, would recommend. It's a wild deck. You just draw a bunch of cards, play a bunch of stuff. It's pretty fun. It definitely catches people off guard because you're just not like, oh, that's just a lot of damage they're outputting. And with the Tarkin Town, you got the Black Ones, you got the Daring Raids, you got the Y-Wings, and you probably already blew your Tarkin Town by the time you play the Resistance Bombers, but there's actually kind of a lot of just random damage just flying around that you can just Tarkin Town wherever you want.
And that's the one thing. I played a little bit of Boba Red because it's kind of fun, but like it's the same thing like Boba Red, like with the Tarkin Town, just like there's so many options. Oh, you just put a damage on? Did you forget I have Tarkin Town? Sucks to be you.
Also, the keep fighting on like a Red Squadron Y-Wing with Poe on there. You swing in for 3, do 3 indirect, you keep fighting, and you just do it over again. You end up outputting 12 damage. It's like out of nowhere on turn 2.
That's crazy.
It's gross. Jeez.
Yeah. Like again, you just shove Poe in the Y-Wing, attack, play, keep fighting. It's literally a turn 2 play. They just dealt 12 damage.
All right. So the last the last deck we have is Piat Blue. We have two versions of that. One is Alex's, one is mine. We'll talk about the differences in a few minutes once we go through the decks. I don't know, JJ, you want to read off the deck? There you go. Why don't you read off the deck and tell us what's in Alex's Piat Blue deck?
Yeah, absolutely. So this version of Piat Blue is Piat with the Colossus on here. We got 2 copies of Salvage to Admiral Piats, or sorry, Admiral
Yeah, no, you're right.
Price.
No.
Yeah,
No, those
it
are
is
Piats.
Piats, right.
They just look a little different. That's all.
Yeah, they look a little different. Yeah. We got 3 copies of Director Krennic, 3 Dr. Pershings, 3 Inferno 4s, 3 Pike Sentinels, 3 Prepare for Takeoffs, 3 Resupplies, 2 copies of the Corvus, 2 copies of the MC-30 Assault Frigate, 3 No Glory Only Results, 3 copies of Overwhelming Barrage, 3 CR-90 Relief Runners, 2 Gladiators, 2 Resupply Carriers, 2 copies of the Fleet Interdictors, 2 copies of Turbo Laser Salvos, 3 Avengers, 2 copies of the Devastator, and 2 Annihilators. And then on the sideboard, we got 3 copies of Perilous Position.
I have a whole sideboard. I apparently just didn't enter it in.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, yeah, wow, you're really confident.
I do
on that
have
one.
it. It's like Relentlesses and just a couple other really like random stuff. I don't know what happened. I just forgot to put them in there, but I had it in real life.
Nice.
And then Tanner, if you want to say yours, then we could talk about our differences real quick.
All right. So
if you think that's beneficial.
Yeah, I think I have one timely intervention in mind, which is different than Alex's. I have 3 of the Super Laser Techs, which I don't believe you have Super Laser Tech. Nope, you don't. In there, I have 1 Merciless Contest and 3 Power of the Dark Sides, which you don't have either of those. I have 3 Resupply, which you do have. You have Supply.
Yeah.
I have takedowns. You don't have takedowns in there. I have 3 Vigilance, 2 of the Corvuses, 2 No Glories, 3 OBs, which I'm actually, there's a conversation about like whether OB is like, I see you have them in there too. Like we could talk about whether OB is even worth keeping in there. Like, could it be more units?
Worth it.
I have 2 of the Droideka security guards, and we'll talk about why I have. I'll tell you why I have that in there because it's silly and stupid, and it probably doesn't belong in there, but it's awesome. It's awesome to have that in there. I have 2 resupply carriers, 3 of the fleet interdictors. I have 2 of the Acquaintancen. Is that how you say that, JJ? Architects. Thank you. 2 Super Laser Blasts, which is probably on my cutting board. 3 of the Avengers, 3 Devastators, and 2 Annihilator. And that's because I like big ships, and I cannot lie. My sideboard is Regional Governors, which I don't know, they're okay. I have 3 Scanning Officers, which was in there just because of the Hans and the Jangos. Though I found that with Jango, I don't need them, so I don't know if I care enough about them to have them. They probably are gonna get cut. I have the Perilous Positions as well, and then I have Relentless because if Control becomes a thing, I have to have Relentless. So I'll explain really quick the few differences. The big difference is the Acquaintancen, however you say that. How do you say it again, JJ? Architects. Thank you. The Architects are in there, and that's a holdover from my Piat Red days, because I have found when they come out, they just ambush, they help you ramp, and I can play that Devastator or Avenger or an Annihilator almost the next turn if he's still there. The Droidekas, just so you know, the Droidekas are there to exploit my stupid Super Laser Tech that they ignored. That's what they're there for.
That was my assumption.
And because of the fact that usually when I play them, I can flip Piat the same turn and feel okay with Piat being on the board. That's a lot of times, like if Piat's not flipped, or I could play an Admiral Piat, the next turn, like a lot of times that's what they're there for. They're there for to protect him. I do think you probably have something with the Pike Sentinels. I could probably just use those. It'd be cheaper. But I do like it just because of the fact that I have the ability to punch them down for it. The timely intervention is just a Tanner being cheesy. That's just me being cheesy. I like it. I think it's funny to be able to ambush in this resupply carrier, by the way. So that's really cool to be able to do that because I can ramp even harder. my deck is built 100% about on ultra ramp. Like I want to ultra ramp. I don't have the turbo salvos, which I think is probably
so good.
better
So good.
than the super laser blast. Like I think I could just dump super laser blast and go to those. Like I think that's really where I think the big difference comes in. And this merciless like I running a little bit more of a control version. Like I don't care about playing units to begin with. I want to control your board, and then I want to dominate you. And that's just that's a me style. That's like me saying I want to play this soft to hard control deck, whereas Alex is playing a little bit more of like a mid-range to early soft control style deck. So
there's not really control other than like the OBs and the turbo laser salvos. It's just mostly I'm gonna drop something huge.
And the no glories. You have the no glories too. So
I'd have some control.
Yeah. So the only reason I don't have Krennic, I like Krennic, but like in your deck, Krennic doesn't do anything other than like he only affects one unit.
No, the CR30s, those are one defeated. So is the fleet interdictors and the annihilators.
Oh, okay. All right.
I could drop an annihilator on turn 5, sir.
Okay, that's
fair.
You
can't do that.
No. Well, if I over ramped you, I sure as hell can. But that's with me going hard ramp.
If you triple ramp, you can drop an annihilator on turn 5.
Right.
If you triple ramp, you can't drop the annihilator on turn 5.
All right. You could cut a timely and a merciless pursuit essentially just for those. And that's probably fair to put Krennic in. It gives you a little bit more turn 2 plays, because a lot of times
mostly that's what it's for.
And most of what I want, like the stuff for, is like I want my prepare for takeoffs and my Dr. Pershing's turn 1. Those are what I care about the most. And then I would want a power and a resupply or something like that, or a takedown, something I can keep to control the board.
So you have 11 first turn plays in a Colossus deck. Do you get first turn play? Oh no, you have less than that, right? You have 8 first turn plays.
Yes. Do I get
Colossus
it?
Deck.
No, I don't always get it. No. But there's a reason for it. It's okay, because a lot of times I don't care about having that extra card to play down. I would rather have an extra card in hand. Like, so a lot of times, especially, it depends on the deck, I guess, right? But a lot of the decks, like when they play a turn 1 play that does something stupid, I want to be able to just power the dark side it, or merciless contest it and be done with it. That's what I want to do. Or I would like to have my Dr. Pershing's or my prepare for takeoff. So I've reduced the number of turn 1 plays on purpose in an effort to say this, like I go for when I want to deploy what I want to do on turn 2, because I'm working towards more of a specific style of a control versus doing a heavier, like have something to play turn 1.
Like I have 17 first turn plays.
You do, yep.
But I mean, other than Admiral Piet, they're all actually useful.
Yeah.
Also, like first turn, like Pershing, second turn Krennic into. No, what was it? Yeah, it's play Krennic and then Inferno 4 on turn 2, because you can do both, because the Inferno 4 is also one defeated. And that's like your best go, right? Is ideally Pershing turn 1, then Krennic, Inferno 4 second turn, if you don't get the resupply.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool.
I do agree. I don't disagree with the Infernal 4s. Like they that's been kind of a staple for all the decks. And again, you could switch my list around to have a little bit more like that. I went for a very specific heavy ramp and control version is where I'm fitting most of it into it. My red version is closer to this style than the other ones. So
I just like having a lot of healing, right?
Yep.
The CR90s, they restore 2, and then when they die you heal 3. It's pretty big. And then like was a turn, when you flip Krennic, if you're like, I don't usually flip Krennic on the turn he comes out. I almost wait. But if it's like 6 resources, you can flip Krennic and then play like a Corvus and an MC30 on the same turn, which is really cool because they're both capital ships. Or you could do like a Corvus and a CR90 if you're just, now I have 2 ships with Restore 2 on the board. It gets pretty nasty.
You can, but you have to ramp them. Because he comes out on 5 resources.
Yeah, I mean,
Piat.
there's a lot of ramp in this deck.
Okay.
I mean, it's the resupplies and the resupply carriers, obviously. Like, I don't have the super laser attacks, but I never really seemed like I needed those. Like, there's not ways I can. I mean, obviously, it's just hard to self kill it if they're not playing ground units. But you have the droidicas.
Yep.
But man, turn 5 Annihilator. I've done it once. It is so funny.
That's crazy, man.
Well, it's like turn 1, like prepare for takeoff, right? Ideally, pick your dig for the resupply carriers and the annihilators or whatever. Then it's like play resupply. Turn 2, turn 3, play resupply carrier. Turn 4, play a ramp card, be it resupply, carrier, and a Krennic, because you can do both. And then turn 5, then you flip Piat, and then you have Krennic, so that's a 3 reduction, and you're at 8 resources, and you just drop an Annihilator, and they're just like, well, that sucks. And then next turn you play Overwhelming Barrage, and then I killed their Luke and their Obi-Wan unit and a 1 health unit because I did 14 damage. I needed all 14 to kill his board. 3 units.
Crazy.
Because I didn't have Turbo Laser Salvo, so it worked. It's funny.
Yeah. All right. I can see putting Krennic back in there.
Well, my deck has 10 when defeated abilities, so like a fifth of the deck it works with Krennic. But if you don't have the CR90s, like those are the really big ones that I want to drop with Krennic.
Yeah, and see, I have those Architons in there.
Which is a little bit overkill, I think, at that point.
Yes. I mean, maybe those become sideboard fodder. Maybe that's what those do. I don't know. I played a lot of them in my Piat Red. That's why they're in there. It's because I played a lot of them in my Piat Red deck, and they always came in handy for taking off an upgraded ship. Just every single time, like almost every single time, if they upgrade their leader into a ship, it just kills it. It's done and over with because it's just really good. And it doesn't require me to keep Piat unit around. Like I don't have to keep that guy in there. He just comes in and ambushes. I will tell you, like ambushing that fleet interceptor is super amazingly fun. Like that is one of my absolute favorite things to do. Is just ambush that in because I Piat unit, and then Piat comes out and you can play that for 5 resources, and it ambushes it and kills something and just sits there. And then you kill it, and it kills everything again. It's like, oh, sucks to be you.
I was playing against a red Piat deck with my Palpatine deck, which is not very fun for Piat, because whatever giant thing you drop, I'm taking. And in this case, it was a Devastator, the red one. So I'm just like, well, I'm Palpatine. I ramped like 2 or 3 times, so I'm just going to steal this Devastator out. And the next turn, that's when they played the Architon to run it into the Devastator to kill both ships, but they resourced their own Devastator. I'm like, well,
yeah.
I guess it was kind of free, but it was really funny.
Yeah, well, they just wasted 8 resources or 7 resources, depending if Piat's not out, like 7 resources they just wasted to.
Yeah, I don't think he was out for the second one. I think he was definitely there for the Devastator. So it's just like, well, it's Palp's Devastator now.
Yep, and that's why I just like Palp, like because if Piat if Piat becomes a thing, and we got to wrap up here really soon. But if Piat is a thing to help tap down Jangos, right, and to push Jangos out of the meta, and or push them down in the meta, I guess I should say. If Piat's become a thing, then Palpatine's could become an even bigger thing again, because Palpatine just has better play into Piat deck. Like, except for I did play against this Admiral Trench blue deck that was a ultra hard control Admiral Trench deck, and I don't even think he played it correctly, because he definitely did not know 100% what he was doing. But it's really awful when he pulls 2 bounty hunters queries, right? And then, or not bounty hunter queries, 2 of those bounty hunters, the ambush, take a card from your resource, a vigilance, and a power of the dark side. What cards do you throw into the garbage, right? Like, you got to get rid of vigilance, but then you got to get rid of the bounty hunters crews, because they just bring the vigilances back. So then you dump both the bounty hunter guys, and then they get a vigilance, and then they just mill you anyway. And you're like, oh, this sucks. And I was playing Palp too, of all things. Like, I was actually playing Palp blue, and I was like, all right, maybe blue Admiral Trench hard control is a thing that can happen. I don't know. Maybe it is. Like, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, if you haven't played these Piat decks, like I'm telling you right now, like the Piat is just so much fun to play. Just like when sets rotate and we lose Palpatine, I'll have Piat to fall back on. So like Piat's not as good in my opinion as Palp is in terms of like my play style. But I'll tell you what, when I lose Palp, I can just swerve to Piat in a heartbeat. So yeah. And if anybody wants 3 hyperspace foil aggressions, I will happily trade those towards a Piat showcase. So if anybody has a Piat showcase they would like to trade, I have hyperspace foil stuff that I would happily trade towards a Piat showcase and then cash for whatever the difference is.
2 hyperfoil annihilators. Do you want those?
A little bit, yeah. Because I only have hyperspace ones, so. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us. We had an awesome time tonight. Next week, JJ, you won't be on because you'll be out at Adepticon, so JJ will not be here next week. Are you going to Adepticon, Alex?
No, I can't financially.
Nope, I'm in the same boat you are, buddy. So yeah. So okay, so next week we'll probably have a little bit shorter of a cast next week with JJ being gone. You know what? Why don't you see if your buddy, your Obi-Wan buddy,
Justin,
see if he wants to join us next week. That fills the deck, and we can talk all the fun Obi-Wan decks that we want. Maybe we'll talk Obi-Wan decks or something. I don't know. We'll find something fun to talk about next week. JJ, enjoy Adepticon. Make sure you and play a lot of X-Wing for all of us and all that fun stuff. So, all right. With that being said, thank you all. Have a good night, and we'll see you on the flippity flop.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for listening.